Wait. Oh, I
Yeah,
was
so we're
good. I was going to tell you something.
you'll have to, yeah. But yeah, we're back at it again. This is the Bodybuilding Unleashed podcast, joined again by IFBB Pro Ashley Starr. How are you doing,
Stop.
Ashley?
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I want to talk about a few things. So obviously we got out of Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
It seemed pretty calm, to be honest with you. Thanksgivings used to be like total chaos in my family because there's so many people.
Yeah,
But now everybody's been like picking and choosing which in-law they end up at. So it's almost like we're never full family anymore. We're in waves. So it seems chill.
sure, sure. Yeah, I kind of wanted to chat like there's a couple different avenues I want to go down, but when I know like when I was like picking shows, Thanksgiving, because you talk with your friends or your competitors or clients and all this stuff. And like I feel like it's such a weird time and it's such like a difficult time for people. And to me, it was always kind of weird because like before I got like seriously into bodybuilding and I was in track and field, yeah, like Thanksgiving was great. And I love all the stuff, like, the turkey, the stuffing, mashed potatoes, like I liked all that stuff. But it wasn't like this weird like food obsession that I think it is today with a lot of families, where like, you see it on the check-ins or you see, just from conversation of like, oh yeah, I had to go with so and so's and I had to eat, 10 pounds of turkey and this and then we went to so and so's and I had to eat again. It's like no one's forcing you. Like you don't have to eat. Like it's great, to see family, friends. Like that's what really matters in life, right? But no one's forcing you to eat like 15 pounds of food.
Come on, that's the American way in Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's such a strange time for me, I think, when you look at it.
Well,
I think,
nor do you have to load your potatoes with 2 pounds of butter. And
well, yeah. Well, first of all, I can't eat half that stuff because now that I don't, I know when someone's cooking that way because I immediately feel like shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Immediately. I do know though, for me, I prepped through like I'd say 3 or 4 Thanksgivings and it was miserable. And all I did was look at all the food I couldn't eat. And now I'm not, and I barely eat it.
yeah,
It's like that. I think it was the mental game where it was like, you can't have this. So I want it so bad. And now that I can have it, I'm not.
yeah.
so I've prepped through Thanksgiving several times too, and I actually found it was super easy because you could make it fit within your meal plan because you turkey breast, chicken breast, relatively similar. And my family was always nice enough, like, hey, we're making the potatoes, or the sweet potatoes, like we won't add in all the shit until you take out a portion, and then we'll throw butter and marshmallow and whatever on it if we want. I'm not a stuffing fan, so I'm lucky there. But I could, and then again with the veggies, hey, before we throw a stick of butter on there, why don't you scoop some out? And like I ate with my family on Thanksgiving. I just measured my turkey and my potato.
Yeah, but I don't think every, excuse me, I'm pretty sure that most coaches don't allow that and they don't try to help athletes through that. And no shade on any coaches that I had in the past, but that was 1,000% not a conversation that was ever had.
Nope.
It was
Hmm.
like, you're on this plan and this is what you're doing. It doesn't matter what the day is, and just go. And again, no shade on any of those coaches because they all have positives, right? But that I think was what's the word I want to use? A gap maybe in the
Hmm.
coaching that I didn't have previously. And in turn, it changed the way I was coaching people too, because I wasn't even like going down that avenue of having those conversations to try to help. It was just either they were all in or they were all out.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think like, obviously like with nationals coming up in a couple weeks, we don't have anyone unfortunately this year on our team doing nationals, but like I've always, had the idea where it's like, hey, if it's one week out of the whole year that you have two cheat meals, assuming someone can keep it together and they do Thanksgiving, on this day, and then they do a cheat meal on their Saturday or Sunday, whatever day. It's not the end of the world. Now, obviously, if you're prepping for a national show or pro qualifier, that's a different story. But it's like, hey, two meals out of the week isn't going to kill you. Might actually fuel some training.
And well, I think that's also a lack of teaching, maybe to some coaches or
Mhm.
education, because it could literally, like quite literally, be spun into something really useful.
Yeah,
But instead, it's almost demonized like all other food and eating is, where it's like if you decide to have all this stuff, you're totally off track. And
yeah.
so I think like when I was in the middle of a prep, because of the mental toll that that was and the lack of guidance in that area, that's the worst part for me because I would leave that day thinking, if I don't do this, if I don't make it through, then I messed up.
Hmm.
And now I'm totally off track. But now I feel like knowing how we prep, we'll just use me for example. A day, if
Yeah,
I was prepping on Thanksgiving, it would have been very easy, like Steph said. Just simply ask them to take things off or bring your own.
totally. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I used to prep, so I used to like before I like really found the formula, I used to prep for the spring shows. So I would do it's no longer a show here, but it would be the Gopher State. And it was always in April. So around Thanksgiving, I was already kind of like prepping, and I was certainly in prep by Christmas. So it's like those two holidays, New Year, if friends, if people, a lot of people do stuff for New Year's. So it's like 2 to 3 holidays in there. I couldn't really do anything, but I didn't take that approach like Stephanie was saying. I always ate with my family, and I'm going to use this cheat meal or this free meal as that day, and I'm not really going to miss a beat. But
Mhm.
it is a little different too, where it's like, okay, you get your one meal, but then you see everyone have the leftovers, and then the day after to where, yeah, that at that point you have to be strong because it's like, well, no, it's not a cheat day or a cheat night, it's a cheat meal. So after that meal was done, everyone's having cake and pie and ice cream.
I
That
say
was
it's
it.
the pie. It's the pie for me. It's the I could give up the turkey and all that. I truthfully don't even like Thanksgiving food. I
Yeah.
like two of the side dishes. That's about it. So for me, it was the pie. I'm gonna go right to the things that my family's making, like these Reese's cups and stuff. I could
Yeah.
care I could care less about the turkey. I eat plenty of meat.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, my dad, I mean, his alter job should have been like opening up a restaurant or a bakery because I mean, the guy can bake. It was just ridiculous. He'd have pecan pie, apple pie, pumpkin pie, and then like a chocolate cake. There'd be all kinds of
Mm.
stuff.
I'm trying to get into my pie game, to be honest. I was just telling Sam that I really want to learn how to make pie.
It's not that hard.
I'm sure, but baking is like precision and patience. And I, while I have those qualities when I'm baking, I do not. So I just like dump everything in and then try to do it all. I don't even like separate the wet and dry ingredients. That's where I'm at with that. So wish me luck on my pie adventure.
Do you find that most of your clients have trouble during Thanksgiving or Christmas, or do you feel like most of them kind of have a handle on it and it's just kind of another day?
Um, I would say when I was younger in my career, probably all of my clients struggled that day just simply because I don't think I had the tools yet to really support them through. And what I mean by that is every other day of the year besides the holiday, because teaching them how to get through your regular days allows them to get through the holidays without even thinking.
Mhm.
And so, like in my earlier days, absolutely they all struggled. And it was like trying to figure out the aftermath. Like you said, it wasn't just a meal, it was a day, the weekend, and then all of a sudden it was weeks. Now, I would say if they've been with me for a decent amount of time, they all are probably better at it than me. And it
Mhm.
really just simply comes down to learning what every individual person struggles with, because everyone struggles with something different,
Hmm.
and then working on that regularly versus prepping for the holiday, because it's kind of asinine if you think about it. It's really just one day.
Yeah. Do you, is there anything you tell clients, let's say that are like, I guess, newer to bodybuilding or just kind of newer to your coaching? How do you kind of help them navigate when you're just trying to explain to them, like, listen, if you're really in this, and you can usually tell if someone's going to be in this for a while, but I've had to tell a lot of clients, like, your family, hopefully, most of them will understand that you're taking it seriously. They want to be supportive of your goal, and like they're gonna have to get used to like the new Ashley or the new Chris. Like this Chris doesn't, eat 4 pounds of meat on Thanksgiving with wine, and all this stuff, and then go out to the bars. Like this is a different shift. And I feel like some people are just, I don't know what it is, if it's like peer pressure, but they're too afraid to like stand up for something that's so important to them, like a goal.
I think it's the getting judged. And then, and we know this very well, the ridiculous comments that people make. And I know sometimes they come out of love or just totally not understanding, like a lack of knowing. But I think it's them being afraid of what those people are going to say because they don't know. A lot of newer competitors don't know how to defend themselves with the sport because they just get told it's unhealthy, you're too skinny, I liked you better the other way. It's just one bite, all of those things, and then they don't really know what to say. I personally, I'm a big fan, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big fan in my clients making their own choice because I know with me, if I'm told, if you said, Ashley, on Thanksgiving, you cannot eat any of this, and you're eating, you know, this meal plan, I probably would have spiraled in my own brain. Just that you can't have it.
Hmm.
Now I tell them like this is your decision. You can use this as your meal, your free meal if they have one or whatever their nutrition structure is. It's your choice if you want it or not. If you don't want it, cool. If you do want it, okay, here's the plan for that. And then I find that that takes a lot of the pressure away.
Hmm. Yeah, I do like that approach.
I've tried them all. I've tried scaring people. I've yelled at them. I've been mean. I've been like, oh, it's okay, and baby them, like all the things. And what I found is that when people have a choice, it's like children. When they're
Mhm.
given an option, if you give them two good options, they're choosing a good option.
Sure. Yep.
So that's where I've gone to.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I kind of had an easier time when I got into the sport. I can't say like my parents were like really supportive. It
Mine
wasn't
were
like,
mine weren't either.
yeah, it wasn't like an anti-bodybuilding. It's just, initially when I had told them I'm going to compete, there were just had so many questions. And like the main question was like, why would anyone get on stage in a small little suit? That was like the main question, where it all funneled to that, where it was like, there's so much more to it than just getting on stage in a bathing suit, you know?
Yeah, like why is that the main focus?
That was for my family, that was the main focus. But I feel like, my friends, which my friends were already lifting anyway, or like training partners. So I didn't really get a whole lot of like BS from that. But I feel like in general, just places that I went, I don't know if it was just the persona or like the vibe I gave off. People like just didn't question me. So I feel like I kind of got lucky because like I think when people saw me, they're like, "Oh, he's dead set on this. Like I'm not even gonna ask."
Is
You
he trying
know?
to show off right now, Steph? He's
Or
big
maybe
macho
because
man.
you're a male.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
Women probably get more questions on why are you eating that? Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to lose weight? You're already skinny.
Mhm.
Like,
I liked you better the other way. Have you ever been told that?
yeah, I have.
Oh.
Have
I've
you?
been, it's been said quite a bit, to be honest. Like, I think that was the stinger was, when someone told me they liked the way I looked better the other way, because honestly, F you, what is it? Why are you judging the way that I look? Like, I don't comment on people's bodies. You don't know what they're going through. But also, when I was told I was unhealthy, and I very specifically remember my mom was very resistant about it all. She didn't quite understand. Now she's my biggest fan. She was the only one there when I got my card. So it's a
Yeah.
whole turn of events. But when she got to see that I, in fact, took care of myself better than she did, the comments stopped.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
I had to start like honestly like educating and be like, okay, you're saying that. Why though? Okay, here's my side. Because Steph, you probably got it too, but it was like every day, to be honest.
Mhm.
More resistance than it was support.
My family was pretty good. There were questions, of course, like why that, why this? Um, you're already skinny enough. Like, like when I was like, when I took my first over-the-counter fat burner, my mom's like, why? You don't have any fat on you. And I'm like, have you seen my ass?
Okay, but I do.
But it's a different vision, right? For us versus the average person. I don't know why that just zoomed in on me. But
Like
my
a
parents
fancy gadget.
overall were pretty supportive. It was just they didn't know. So it was like, oh, can you have a cheat meal with us? And at the time, like I worked before Chris, I worked with coaches that didn't do cheat meals or free meals. So
Same.
that's not a thing for every plan out there, every coach.
What's crazy to me, those free meals, there's so many things to say about it, but for other people, it makes them feel so much better. Like the fact that you can go and eat a meal with them, it makes everyone stop saying anything. Now people like get what I'm doing and they're super
Hmm.
supportive, and it's like internet trolls that might say something, but everyone around me at this point has figured it out. But I know that those free meals really make a difference for other people. And I noticed my family would start planning them around it. Like for me, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, let's do blah, blah, blah. Ashley, you can eat, right? I'm like, well, yeah, I eat every day, way more than you, but yes, I can have that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, that's a super cool observation too, because it's like, yeah, you don't want to miss out on time with family or friends or, coworkers. So it's like it's that one couple hours where you don't have to like think or like feel guilty about eating something that
You can be
you want.
normal.
Yeah, I found that is better for my people's spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives,
Hmm.
more than my athletes. Because a lot of my athletes, I'm sure you have the same, they try to skip out on it because they think it's like going to harm their progress. So they think they're like doing right by not having it, but
Hmm.
their spouses are the ones that look forward to it. So I always suggest to them use that as your dates. You can easily get through your whole week if you know you have this meal coming up. Use that as your like end of the tunnel for the week, and it really helps them. So it's kind of like a tenfold how great those free meals are.
Hmm.
Yeah. I've had so many different instances where I've prepped couples, whether it's, for a photo shoot, most of the time, obviously, if it's for a competition, and I'll be doing their plans, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And I gotta send it to the wife, and sorry, this is what you get. You get a structured meal, steak and a potato or something. Send. And then I get to the husband, and I'm like, all right, you can. For in that case, there's a lot of cases where they would get a cheat meal, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
because guys have it way easier sometimes,
I'm
man.
like, how's this gonna work? Like, is there gonna? I'm just waiting for like the text messages to come in. Hey, why does why does Bob get a cheat meal and I don't?
You care more about him than me.
Yeah, which I did get a few like funny text messages, like they were cool about it, but it was just they were prepping for a show, like so they understood like this is just what you got to do.
Yeah, that would be crazy to have the same in the house. I mean, you guys do it, but
Yeah. But it was
especially
just
same coach, different plans.
yeah. but yeah, I guess kind of a segue into our next topic. And this can involve anything. It could be training, it could be posing, it could be anything. Is there anything when you think about your career that you would go back and change when it comes to bodybuilding? What are some of the things that you're like, I know for sure I would go back and do this
Like as an athlete.
as an athlete, like for your career? If you look back and
Um,
you could change a few things.
Number one, I think I would tell my younger self to stop secret cheating because I feel like every young athlete, plus also the ones that just can't quite get it, are doing secret cheating. And then maybe adding some cardio in to fix whatever they did. I think
Mhm.
that's definitely something that I would have changed with a different mindset. I think the biggest one would be I would not have gotten on stage as soon as I did. I
Okay.
think if I think if I would have, it was, I had just had Cameron. I wanted to try something, whatever. But I wish that my coach at the time would have told me to, yeah, we want to prep you for a show, but I wish it would have been more like career showing focused
Right.
instead of just letting me say, yeah, I want to do this show in 6 months.
Hmm.
Because I think that could have altered the course of how I showed in general. I think I would have, from the jump, known that I need to take my time. It might be longer than I feel comfortable with, but at the end of the day, there's a reason for that. I think I just kind of rushed it, unknowingly rushed it.
Yep.
So I think that would, besides like the stupid excuses and little cheats and, little things off the plan, I think that would be the largest thing that I would change.
Okay. How about you, Stephanie? I
Um,
mean, obviously you would hire me as your first coach, obviously.
that would have helped.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Um,
Duh.
I would, looking back, my first four shows, I wasn't ready. But at the same time, I don't blame the coach that I had. I was one of those people like when I said I was going to do something, I was going to do it, and I like locked in and did it. And I didn't have at the time the extra funds to be like, yeah, let's lead into this for a year. And
Mm.
I also didn't know better though. So maybe I wish people would have been more upfront with me and more honest. But I lived in Fargo at the time. People like fed my ego and they're like, "Oh, you look great. You look great." And I look at the pictures and I'm like, what were they looking at?" Um because now like but obviously my eyes have changed too. But I had saved up this money. I hired a coach and I was told 12 weeks. People told me you need 12 weeks to prep for a show. And I was like, "Here you go. Here's my money." I paid for 16 weeks because I was going to do two shows and she worked with what she had. So
I
it's
mean, my coach too. That's why I can't blame them. But
so it was
also,
on me because I was like, and I was like, I'm doing Upper Midwest and then I'm doing Gopher. Um, or no, I did the fall shows that year. The next year I did Upper Midwest and Gopher.
Mhm.
So my first four shows were all within a year span
dang girl.
because I did two fall shows and then I did two spring shows right after. Um, which is why I didn't improve
I
for
was
the
gonna say it
season.
sounds like all of the local athletes that just keep doing the same thing.
But so I wish only one person had been honest with me because when it came around to that second year, I was like, okay, I'm going to do these local shows and then I want to do a national show. And I just want to see what it's like. I want to do it for the experience and I want to see if I can get top 10. And a friend actually looked at me and was like, You're not ready. Why would you go for the experience? Why would you go to place top 10? You go when you're ready to win, when you're ready to be in that top call out.
That needs to be said more.
And he's like, it's so much money to go to a national show. And again, money was tight for me. I was single, I was paying my mortgage on my own and everything. And that was smart. That was the smartest decision. I was like, okay, I'm not ready to do a national show. It was like one more year and then I did. And then I was with a different coach by then.
So it all circles back to Chris.
Yeah.
So there's,
I agree though. You know, I mean to cut you off, Chris, but I agree.
yeah.
I feel like maybe it's inexperienced coaches, or one that hasn't gone as far as their athlete is going. But I think that needs to be said. Like, you don't, just because you qualify doesn't mean you should be going. And just
Right.
because you think you should be going, chances are you really shouldn't be, especially if it's like your first year. You have genetic freaks, right? That happens.
Mhm.
But most likely your first year, if there's two people in your class at your local show and you happen to win the backpack and overall, you're probably still not ready. You
Right.
probably weren't even ready to be competitive in a full lineup, to be honest.
Mhm.
And I think that just needs to be said more because, I mean, look at the caliber of athletes that we talk about that are at these national showings, and we're like, what is going on?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
another point.
Right.
Mhm.
So yeah, I had a kind of a different path, but kind of going back to what you were saying, I am thankful enough that I talked to enough people when I was really getting started with my career and with coaching to where I learned like there are so many different levels to this when it comes to coaching. And I wanted to be the best coach. Like I even initially, I'm like, I want to be a good bodybuilder. And back then, I thought it was the case where it's like, I have to be a pro. I have to be an IFBB pro in order to be a coach, in order to make any money in this sport. Obviously, today, anyone can be a coach, literally. You don't even have to
What?
compete, literally.
Yeah,
And
but you are a competition specialist.
yeah, another topic. But I was able to surround myself and kind of ask those questions to the older guys, that were successful around me, like, hey, why are you doing this? Or why are you putting athletes in this? And I learned early on when I knew when I got to a certain level as a coach, there are levels meaning like you don't just put someone in a show without like the plan. So like, okay, I knew with you, we knew the plan was to be an IFBB pro, not just pick a random show. Like, why are we picking this show? Like, why are we doing the Night of Champions? Why are we doing North Americans? Who's judging at these shows?
Hmm.
What do they prefer? What is this judge like? There's so many different things to where I learned there are coaches that just like, oh yeah, just do whatever show you want. And it's like, all right, you're
Well,
kind of just a paycheck at that point.
or coaches just lead their people into the smallest show possible, like knowing,
That too.
Yes, I actually just did the
so that
opposite
so
with a
that they can
client.
say, "Oh, I won."
Yep. Yep. I just
Yeah.
had a client, she had to requalify. She wants to do Universe in July. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she wanted to do this one in Mississippi that she did a couple years ago. Well, when I looked back up, like, I don't know about you, but I'll go like 3 or 4 years deep to see how many people are in these classes.
Hmm.
And I had to convince her not to do that one because I will not know what she looks like standing next to competitive athletes if she's standing next to one person.
Hmm.
So we just
Yeah.
did that. But I personally, like, I had a very different environment, I think, than you because I didn't have anybody around my area.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding was not that big around here. There was not like a mecca, like a gym that you could go to where these people are. It wasn't that way for me. So I don't know. I probably would be in a very different place had I lived somewhere else, maybe. But I did not have those resources.
Hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
a big difference. And I think that's something people miss out when I always say to interview a coach, but I think they miss out on and asking those questions because those things make a big difference. Like how you're going to select, like you said, how do you select these shows? Why are you selecting these shows? Why is it this timeline? I don't think anybody asks those questions.
Absolutely. And there's so many different factors that come in. Because we've talked about them before. It's like, okay, how much is it going to cost you to do this qualifier? Is that qualifier going to take money away from your pro qualifier show? You know what I mean? Like not everyone has all the funds to go for that pro card and hit multiple shows like we've talked about. So like, yeah, like when I was getting into it, it was crazy. It was a different time. There was like probably 30, 40 guys that were after this Mr. Minnesota title. And it was literally like a mini Olympia. Like you knew the guys who were like the top 10. The guys were like, there was like 20, 25 guys in a class. And it's like, you knew the top 10 were like jacked as hell. Like, how am I even going to get top 10? How am I going to get top five? And all these guys, were going to the Mr. Minnesota to win that because they were going to be king shit. And then they were going to go, they were going to go do the nationals. So it's like, it was a big deal. So I learned early on, you know, how I wanted to coach and how there has to be strategy. And I will say, like, for my national show, my first national, it was very, very, very different because I was fortunate enough to actually be sponsored, like a real sponsorship. So,
Oh, cool guy.
so I was with Muscle Tech for 5 years, and again, this is not something I would ever have a client do, but I did junior nationals when it was in Chicago for my first national show, and I had no business doing that show. I wasn't expecting to win. I literally knew I wasn't going to win, but I'm like, I'm going to do this string of shows, and I'm going to go just to see where I stack. I didn't have any pipe dreams or anything crazy. So I knew I was going. I knew I wasn't going to win. I knew I probably wasn't going to be top five, but Muscle Tech literally covered every single penny. They covered my entry, they covered my tanning, they covered the hotel, they gave me $50 a day for food, like all expenses paid for. So I was like, why not? And
Insert a button here in this clip that says sponsor Ashley.
yes,
Click to sponsor Ashley.
click the link.
Click the link, like and subscribe.
Yes.
Just sponsor
So,
us all.
and the funny thing is too, like per your contract, I still have the contract. Like I literally still have the contract. You have to compete. If you don't compete, you get cut. So I was like, okay, you have to do a national show as a muscle tech athlete. So I was like, well, shit, here we go. And of course, I drive down with my brothers and three other friends. And I was a middleweight at the time. And as soon as I got backstage, I'm looking at the other guys and I'm like, I'm going to get absolutely destroyed today. And I did. I got absolutely destroyed. But I will say, if it wasn't for the sponsorship, I had no business to be in there. But it taught me because I knew I stood right next to these guys.
Mhm.
I'm pumping up right next to these guys, and I'm like, I am nowhere near a national level middleweight competitor. So when I drove home, I knew exactly like what I had to do to like deserve to be there.
Yeah, I have had that feeling many a time, especially at I did Junior Nats in Chicago as well. It was my first national show. I
Mhm.
liked that show. I
Yeah.
didn't need to be there, but I liked that show. But it was USA's that I hit. That was my first, I mean, much larger than Junior Nats. And I remember getting there and doing check-in and sitting at athlete check-in, and I immediately started crying when I left because I was like, there's no ch I shouldn't be here.
Mhm.
And it's so deflating leading into the day that you're going into after that. And so that's why I said I really wish I would have been told, you know what, here's the reality of the way that you're looking right now.
Mhm.
This is what you want to do. How do we figure out this plan and move forward? But I didn't have that. I also didn't have a full sponsorship to blow money on.
Going on that topic, now that you've been at both sides of the spectrum, I want to ask how you felt when you go backstage at the universe. And now you're a different animal now. So you go backstage, you find your little area, you put your backpack down, you start looking around at the other women, you're getting ready to pump up, the glaze. What's your mindset now, like this year, going backstage versus, like you said, you were in tears at USA's. You were like, I should just go home.
I mean, definitely a person, a totally different person, right? Like there's so many reasons why it was so different, but just if just looking at simply what my body looked like versus what was around me,
Hmm.
I just like felt calm. It was weird. I think I've told you that. I just felt like I wasn't stressed out. I was actually enjoying the process, but that was, a goal of mine was to enjoy show day because I typically do not enjoy show day.
Yep.
And so like that was a goal. And then I remember looking around in this room and I'm like, I'm not afraid of any of these people.
Hmm.
And that was like a really big like shift in my mind as we were getting lined up because I wasn't directly standing next to somebody that I decided was much better than me.
Hmm.
But I also think that comes down to what you and I have talked about and worked on, what I have gone through, totally different body, all of that. But also, I reminded myself, I have no idea what she looks like on stage. She could have bigger shoulders right now, but she might look like absolute shit under the lights and not know how to pose. So I think there was just so much more maturity in my thought process.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
And that's how I knew I was supposed to be there at that time.
yeah, 100%. And when you think of like those feelings, because we've all been there on the other side, where it's like, gosh, should I even go out? Like, should I just go back to my room?
I
Like,
mean, listen, if I could have had my phone texting you in line, I would have been like, I should leave. I shouldn't be
yeah,
here. We should go because that's just like the stress of just standing backstage watching it happen.
yeah.
So good thing I didn't have my phone because I probably would have sent that.
But yeah, it just goes to show like when you really think about it and you uncover everything. And as a coach, it's like, why would you want to send anyone into battle like that? Because it is a battle. You do feel like you're going to war. Why would you want to send someone that wasn't ready?
Mhm.
Like it just doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, you're gonna have the freaks that come in and they clean house and they win the overall with ease, right? But it's like there's a difference because we've all been there from being stage ready and having no business stepping on a national stage, you
Well, I
know?
think that's the difference in athletes, and jump in here if you agree or disagree, but the one and done or the ones who want to continue to push forward and have an actual bodybuilding career.
Hmm.
Because the ones who just want to do a show to see if they like it or bucket list or whatever, no shade on them, but those are the ones that, regardless of what you say, they're going to get on stage.
Mhm.
So then
Right.
that emotional spiral afterwards is simply because they didn't want to listen.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. We got another topic. This is a good one. Okay. How do you balance between fitness goals and personal goals?
Me?
Well, all of us. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I think is like the top, absolute tippy top is having to get somebody, and I will relate to this, having to get somebody to decide to choose themselves first.
Mhm.
Because when I lived all of my years, like I'm a very selfless person, I try to be. And so I'll do what other people want me to do before I'll do what I want to do. And I think that once I realize that I have to choose what makes me feel better inside first, that's a big game changer because then you can start picking and choosing what's around in your environment.
Hmm.
And that is for me how I balance. I have to make sure my environment is the right kind of people, the right kind of spaces, all of that. Otherwise, I can't do it.
Hmm.
If
I
that
think,
makes sense. Does that make
yeah.
sense?
For me, like, I've talked about it a bunch, like on the team chats and all this stuff, but there is something to be said about writing down your goals. That most successful people that have written books, many of them, they all have that thing in common where they write down their goals. So I started doing that as long as I can remember. Even if it's silly, even if you laugh at it later or even if other people think it's stupid, it doesn't matter. It's your goal. So typically around this time, I am writing my goals for 2026. You know, finance goals, coaching goals, personal goals, relationship goals. It could be anything, anything you want, and like I'll go back and it's on a folder that I check quite a bit. So I always have that constant reminder. I'm like, okay, where am I at? Um, how many pro cards have we won as a coach this year? Okay, where am I at? I still got work to do. How much money have I put aside? Okay, we got work to do. It's always a way to keep yourself accountable. And I think like what I like what you said is the balance. There has to be balance. And I think we see a lot of newcomers now, especially I think with social media. It's just like they're all in. They're all in for this local bodybuilding show. They're going to take all the gear. They're going to be on every drug known to man. And if they don't win, then it's like life is over. And it's like,
Well, those are the people who are like 7 days a week, no rest days,
yeah,
2 to 3 sessions a day. Though there's absolutely no way you're going to have a happy, healthy life, honestly, that way. But also you're never going to have a social life. There is
yeah.
no that little balance there. You're not going to be able to be normal, like Steph was saying earlier, like
Hmm.
to just kind of be. Those
Yeah,
people that when they, I mean, I jump all in. When I'm all in, I'm all in, but I have an understanding of like what all in actually means.
right. And I think, yeah, there's some people that just they haven't figured it out or they don't know that there actually can be balance.
Hmm.
Like we go back to like we've talked about it where it's like we didn't even know we were prepping this year. Like we had all these trips. We had her bucket list, Italy, one of my best friend's weddings, to where it's like there was so much balance this year for us that it's like I wouldn't want to do it any other way, you
But your
know?
body's responded so well. So there's like something to be able to say that I can't put into words, but the fact that you guys were able to do that and go sightsee and go spend time and get out of the gym and do all those things, your bodies were dramatically different
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely right.
from a bystander's perspective.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like a lot of people don't realize just like the silly stuff like I was talking about when we first hopped on. You can't predict when you get sick. Like I've been sick for 2 weeks. You can't predict an injury. And then it's like, well, what are you going to do now? Like if bodybuilding is the only thing in your life that you care about, you're going to spiral because it's like if no one knows when you go in and you get a pec tear. Like those things are going to happen and they do happen. So it's like if you aren't balanced in like your job or your relationships or whatever else, it's going to be a long road because as soon as something pulls away from bodybuilding, which it will, you're going to be in a bad mental spot.
Well, typically, I feel like, and I know I did it, so I can say this with confidence, but typically those are people who are literally hiding from dealing with something. You're going to use it for your mental health or whatever all those things go around like, oh, the gym is my therapy or whatever.
Hmm.
But like it isn't. And so if that's like you said, if it's the only thing you have, then once that gets removed, you're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then if you're not dealing with it, you're never like, this is truthfully, I think one of the things that got me further this year than ever was actually dealing with things
Hmm.
instead of just saying, like, well, I can't right now, I'm locked in. I can't. Now, actually, no, let me deal with it first. And now I'm in just a whole different place.
Yeah. I remember you talking about that along the way.
That was a big deal for me, for sure. Clearing up the headspace in order to be able to make those rational decisions in those emotional moments. I think that's a big deal. It's like brings it right back to Thanksgiving. I was in such a better mental space. So looking at all the foods, it was like, oh, simple. I want that and that and that, and that's it.
Hmm.
But mental clarity.
Mhm.
Yeah. How about you?
Balance?
Hmm.
Well, I set easy goals and I don't make them in my personal life. So, um, for me, obviously getting my workouts and things in are non-negotiable. because they're a part of who I am. And I feel better. Outside of that, it's just prioritizing what comes first. Um, like right now, we're moving. So I would say my stress levels are at an all-time high.
What do
And
you mean? Chris is packing all the boxes.
no, he has not.
I think I've
He's not worried about it at all. And that's the problem. So, do I have balance in anything outside of my workouts? No, I don't right now. So, it is something I struggle with. Um, it's an area of improvement for me. I made at the beginning of the year or earlier this year, I made a goal to read one chapter a day because I love to read. I used to read all the time. Since I've been married, I barely read. So
Mm,
I made a goal to read one chapter a day. That's a 10-minute commitment. I haven't read since September.
mm.
So,
I keep trying to get into reading. My brain goes like 9 million places while
mm,
I'm reading, and then I just keep rereading the same page.
I have that trouble too. Like when I have books that she's bought me for Christmas and I haven't even opened. It's just
he likes those gifts I give him.
yeah.
They're his favorite.
Yeah.
You're gonna read them one day.
No, he won't.
Yeah, I do have intention of
I'm gonna pack
yeah.
them and move them to Nevada. They're gonna take up space in some box, and he's never gonna touch them.
Well, while you're planning 2026, put that on your list.
Yep.
Read Steph's books.
Yeah. I believe
I,
reading is great for your brain health. So,
yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
I also love to learn. I love reading books that don't make me have to think, but then at the same time, I'm like, I need to read something that's going to teach me something. So I have like that weird
Yeah.
like back and forth. But I will set a reading goal as well because I have so many books that I have bought that I'm like, hell yes, and then dust.
yeah.
So that's what I'll do. Let's check that on my things to keep track, keep me in line. Read.
I had
Maybe
a
it'll
lot,
make you read.
or maybe you'll learn like with me. I had a lot more hobbies before marriage.
Well, yeah, true. This is true. I will say though, like I can agree with you that when you have something big going on, nothing else like seems to be getting done. So I struggle in that area as well.
Mhm.
You're not alone.
January, it'll be different. I hope.
Says everybody that's going to start going to the gym.
Yeah. Different year.
Hey, I'm
2026
not
doesn't
missing my
seem to be it.
fitness goals.
Oh,
Okay.
We're good about though. We always like we have our like routine and once we get to like a certain meal of the day, like one of our final meals, that's when we like sit down together and we watch a show or we watch a movie together. And that's probably one of the best like habits we have to like unwind from and unpack from a day.
that's
So
healthy
that's
stuff,
of
guys.
value to me.
Yeah, I don't know when we started that, but it was just like, okay, at this point, the work stops. Like, that's it.
Hmm.
You're clocked out. Whatever it is can wait till tomorrow. Unless it can't wait, then it's like we figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's like whatever it is, you table it for the next day, and then the next day comes and you get back to work, you know?
That's actually why I took all of my work stuff off of my personal phone
Hmm.
and got a work phone to use because I wanted to be able to shut down from work and just be whatever it had to be, just
Hmm.
mom, spouse, friend, whatever it was.
Sure.
That's literally why I took everything off because I was having such a hard time just allowing myself to be within the moment. And I know I struggle with that a lot. And I think that, falls into the things I struggle with when I'm trying to stay on track.
Hmm.
So I did the same thing. It's not the same time every day, but I try.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the one thing I would say, one of the biggest things that I've struggled with as a coach. Like Chris 5, 6 years ago was very, very different. And it was just, like we go back to those things where we talk about the hard lessons that we've learned, the past 2 years. And it's just like deep down, I mean, I wanted to be one of the best coaches in the world, you know. And I do think I'm an incredible coach. I'm not the best. I'm not Hani Rambod, but Hani's the GOAT. But I'm like, if I don't respond to this client right now, like I'm just like lowering my stock as a coach. So it was just like this constant feeding into clients where I would have no boundaries. And
Mhm.
it was just like, well,
None.
it's just like the boundaries, this is the boundary line, and it's now cut into our boundaries.
Why do you think when I message you at certain times, or like I know you guys are on a trip or something, the first thing I say is, don't read this or don't answer me until you're done?
She does
Because
that.
I do it every time. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like I think I texted you on your anniversary, for example. And I was
Yeah.
like, it's your anniversary. Please do not answer me. I just need to send this here so I don't forget.
Yep.
Because I don't think it's said enough that coaches are people. It pisses me off. You have a life, you have things to do, you have your daughter, you have your dogs, you have your life. Like, you don't have to answer that second.
Hmm.
But I think that's the social media shit, because you got all
Yeah.
these coaches out there, coaches who are like, oh, does your coach not answer you right away? Well, if you sign up with me, I answer like that. I'm always available. Well, that's so unhealthy.
Hmm.
Hmm. Until they learn why other coaches aren't answering like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are usually the coaches too with four clients,
True.
which is
Yeah.
which is why they can answer so
Yeah.
readily. You know.
I started telling my clients, like, as much as I want to answer you guys immediately, I know that the quality of my work is going to be low if I'm not in the right mindset. And that's really just been me learning myself and, getting diagnosed ADHD as a grown up, like, and the things that I struggle with and what it affects. If I'm not like zoned in and feeling like I can appropriately give you answers or build you something, I'm not going to do it. And I used to force myself to. And then my work sucked, in my opinion. So I agree, because I can't. So I tell my clients, I'm like, if I don't do this on this day, then I'm gonna do it within this time frame, and then I'll give it to you. And then no questions asked.
Hmm. You know what it was like? We haven't talked about this yet because I just learned it like within the last several days. You can still learn. Like I'm still learning as a coach. I'm still growing.
It's a slow process.
But I learned an incredibly valuable lesson within the last week.
Oh,
So, and it kind of goes to what we're talking about right now is, you know, Coach Chris 6 years ago would think, "Oh my gosh, if I don't answer this client, they're going to leave me." And it's like 6 years ago we had a shit ton of clients. Like we still do, right? And I'm like, when you feed into that, those people when they do leave, they were going to leave anyway. It's not because you didn't reply 2 milliseconds later. They were going to leave because those are the types of people that need their hand held to the show. You know, those are the types of people that without you as a coach, Ashley or Stephanie, I hate to say it, but they weren't going to go very far anyway. So,
yeah, but I think for you though, you try to see the good in, let's just say, athletes, people for sure, but like,
yes.
you see potential in your, from my perspective of knowing you guys, all you want to do is get that person exactly where they want to be. And so everything that the decisions that you're making, the things you're doing, you're genuinely trying to get them there. So I think
Mhm.
that's probably why you were like that, because you just always just want to help people.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
But what did
100%.
we learn? What did we learn?
Yeah. So I learned basically that if they can realize that there is a boundary in anything, in a job, in a marriage, in a relationship, there's boundaries in everything in life. There's laws, there's rules, right? There, everywhere you look, there's a boundary. And it's like if they can't learn the boundary, if they're not going to figure it out how to weigh food themselves, how to calculate the carbohydrates in an apple, how to book a tan by themselves without Stephanie booking a tan and a Turo. If they can't do
And a
those,
hotel
yeah,
and a flight.
yeah, how to turn in your music for your posing routine for the show. Like if you don't figure those things out, you're probably not going to go very far anyway. So like setting
Like
up the
no
bound,
chance. No
yeah,
chance.
I didn't know when people hired us, they were hiring like a trip planner.
Oh
TripAdvisor.
shit. Is that you guys should add that to your services.
Man.
That's just insane. But I think and I know we've talked about this before, but when you lose those people, and I know for me, when I lose people like that, it opened up space for an immediate addition of somebody that is just so good. And
Mhm.
not just necessarily genetically so good, but they're respectful, they're responsive, they are open to learning, they are very open with the team and very talkative. It's just they're just good. And I've noticed that when I allow those people to scoop out, I find someone that fills that gap so much better.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, it just happened like within a few weeks, the past couple of weeks for us. I signed on a guy, and you can tell already. Like Ashley, you said it. You can tell right away the quality of a client and athlete and how far they're going to go just by their mindset and the things they're going to do and the responses and the respect level. I'm like, I just got an incredible client. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter, short-term goal, medium, long-term goal. Like, this guy's going to get there because he understands the process.
Yeah, but I think that gets to the point where you're earning you're being given the respect that you have earned when you get people like
Mhm.
that. Because like you guys, for example, anybody is silly to think that you cannot get them to where they want to go. I mean, look at your own careers, look at your lifestyle, look at you as people, and then the athletes that you have that have been in your past or current. It's just silly for anybody to think that. So I think now that the respect that you guys deserve is coming through in these newer people. But
Mhm.
maybe you're presenting yourself different. Maybe you're not allowing the riffraff anymore.
Yeah. I think
That
that's it. I think you said it perfectly.
I don't think you deserve to have. I mean, everyone's going to get those athletes that just don't know anything or, whatever. They're just dumb. But I don't think that you guys at the level that you're at should be having that. Maybe you need to screen people better.
Yeah, I mean it's something like we've talked about in the past and
Well, and it's fine if like if someone comes to us and they're like a novice person, right? And
Mhm.
they don't understand everything. It's just how do you go about like do you actually want to learn to prep your food and make your own meal? Or do you just want someone to do it for you? Like,
I think I have to be better at when I recognize those things because I've had that too. I need to be better at immediately either stopping that or being like, listen, I like you a lot, but this isn't like we're done here. I've definitely done my fair share of firing, but I'm not so good at it because I get attached.
Mhm.
because I've had
But
a gal, like she's new to all of this, but when I explain something to her, she's like, great, thank you for that info. I appreciate you teaching me. And then
period.
that's it. Then she
Yeah.
runs with it, right? It's not like a constant like hand holding, like do everything for me. Like I can't measure my chicken. Like
Well, those are the ones
what's
that
a
are going to tell
gram,
you
what's
that
an
they
ounce.
should have won, but they lost because, that one judge and, they already pre-selected and that's the only thing they'll ever say. It's not it's not the I didn't take the time to listen to my coaches and honestly, I know I've taken advantage in the right way of using you as a resource. These
Mhm.
people aren't using you appropriately. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much knowledge that they can learn, or there's so many habits that they could pick up on, or just so many things, right?
Hmm.
Like directions that can get sent just by simply listening to you guys.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I love that too. Like when you shoot me a question or, hey, it's it's classroom back in the classroom, like
It's time
we've
to be
had,
a nerd. I have a
yeah,
question.
we've had so many talks. Like I just know like if I can help you, it's just going to help you be a better coach and a better athlete,
Oh,
you
for
know.
sure. I mean, for sure. I think there's so many things I could say in the difference in like you as a coach versus other coaches I've had, but that has been a game changer for me because I have a trusted resource to go to that I know isn't just making it up,
Hmm.
isn't just doing a quick like AI search for an answer to give to me. Like
Yeah.
you're actually coming at me with years of experience of athletes and as yourself and other things that you've studied. Like you live and breathe this world.
Yep.
And so the questions and the things they benefit my clients big time, but they benefit me as an athlete even more. And
100%.
I feel like the more I've learned, the easier prepping is, the easier off season is,
Hmm.
because now I'm actually educated on what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so much, like why we might be doing something or, and then it gives you a chance to be like, okay, well, Chris said this about this. What happens if I do this with my client? You know, is it going to work for them or why doesn't it work for them with this client? So
Sometimes I tell them that. I'm
yeah.
like so brutally honest with clients. I will tell them I don't know everything. I don't ever say I know everything. And if someone asks me a question I don't know the answer, I'll be like, hold on, let me research, read, I'll get back to you.
Hmm.
But then if it comes from you, I tend to tell them like, hey, I just learned this from Chris and I really want to try it. Because I talk about you guys often so they know who you are.
Hmm.
And so when I tell them that, they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like send me like guinea pig emojis and stuff like that because they're ready because they're willing to be open and understand and learn and try
Yeah.
versus me coming at them as a hammer and saying, I know everything, do this. That's it. So I
Yeah.
mean, they know where my source is. You're my top source.
Well, I mean, that's a better sign of a good coach versus a fake it till you make it.
Right.
True.
There's
Yeah.
a lot,
That
there's a lot of people out there promising a lot of things that really don't have the knowledge to back it up.
true. This is true. That's a whole nother day. We could talk about that for hours.
Yes.
What I love about your clients, Ashley, like I think I've maybe only talked to two or three of them, is like I don't have to worry about a loyalty issue.
Mhm.
Like I just love that about, where it's just like they value your opinion even when you say, "Hey, I'm going to ask my coach Chris," or I'm going to bounce something off Stephanie. It's like I love seeing the loyalty because it's like it's not a competition. Like we're all doing this together. Like there
Hmm.
doesn't
Mhm.
need to be this like animosity between coaches, and it's
Yeah.
like
To
there's
be
just
honest, that changed for me when I started being a person. Like
Mhm,
when I stopped doing all the things that people said you had to do to sell and get clients and all that and be professional. Being professional in this industry can look so many different ways.
mhm,
And I constantly open up to my clients about my struggles. I let them see me in my worst moments because they're in their worst moments often as well. So once I shifted that and I just became a person in the room with them, it has opened up a lot of doors. And I will agree, I'm very blessed at my team, that's for sure,
mhm.
because some of my athletes I've had for 10 years now without one single step off. And that is
That's amazing.
it's it's probably I would say I've probably got about 6 or 7 that I've had for just about 10 years.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah. So I love that you noticed that because that's something really big that I've been working on the past few years with just me as a professional because I
Mhm.
want to be relatable because without being relatable, I'm not a man, but I go through struggles that men go through, so I can relate to men in that regard. But when they're seeing me just being me, we're just kind of homies. Like you and I say, friends first, coaches second. That's really kind of where I go for everything.
Yeah, 100%. And they've all said like there's all just been like this pattern where there's a huge level of respect for you. And like I can just tell that I know you're pushing them to be their best through like those little conversations we've had, like
I try, I try, I
with
try.
like Dino, with Max. There was another girl I talked to, not Bren, there was another one, which she commented on a
Kelly,
story.
it might be Kelly.
It might be Kelly. Yeah. But just like the little things that they've said about, I'm like, that's just awesome. Like that's just rewarding, you know?
It's nice to find and you know what though, they're genuine people. And so I've been weeding out over the years the people who don't want to be real. I
Hmm.
mean, and you know better than anybody in the bodybuilding world, if you're not being real, you're definitely not going to get anywhere because you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to hear the reality of what the judge's feedback said, what your coach actually thinks and sees, what
Hmm.
you should be seeing in the mirror for yourself. So, reality.
Yep. Yeah. I had a client, this was 6 years ago actually. And I've only had it not even 5 times in my career where I've had to actually tell a client, hey, we're not going to be ready for the show like we had planned on. There's been there's been cheating on the diet, maybe a health issue come up, death in the family, whatever it may be, those roadblocks have prevented us from being ready for the show like we had both planned on. And I had a client 6 years ago to where, it's a tough conversation, especially if you haven't done it before, and I was always straight up with them, like I'm always straight up with people. And you always worry what they're gonna think or what they're gonna say. Are they gonna quit? Are they gonna quit the team? And he's like, Chris, I cannot thank you enough for being honest,
Hmm.
And here's what we did. We picked a later show. He was ready for that show. He looked great. He got in the best shape of his life. And now he has pictures that he's proud of.
Yeah, but I think, and I can say this on my end, when he knows that you're being honest and real, now as the time goes on, the decisions you're making, the things you're saying, is just going to trust.
Yes.
And when you don't have like a wholehearted trust in the decisions that your coach is making, there's always going to be that like slight like disloyalty, we'll just say,
Sure.
constantly, wondering and maybe looking elsewhere, other coaches online or, catching their attention. And so, like for me, knowing that if you said, yeah, you should be there, I was like, I should fucking be here. It changes the dynamic of everything.
Yeah. That's a great point.
That's all I have. Great points.
That does wrap us up for today. Yeah. This has definitely been great.
So go back to that
We're
link
gonna
that's
title this
floating.
one Great Points with Ashley.
Listen, they're not always awesome, but they're going to be great.
Yes.
Or title it Sponsor Us.
Yeah, please.
Please. Please.
I've spent a lot of money on this sport.
Yes, I'm broke, but I love it. That's your title.
That's all that matters. All right. Well, we'll wrap this one up. Maybe we'll see you Thursday on that pod. We'll see.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah.